I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Man, I love being a turtle. Welcome to Your Inner Child's an Idiot, the podcast where we look back on things from our childhood and see if they're any good. My name's DJ.
Hi, DJ. I'm Damon. I introduced myself to you.
Like the Ninja Turtles, we were both named after famous painters. Me being DJ Qualls, and you being
Matt Damon.
Damon Lindelhoff. Just famous.
I liked mine better.
Painters. What did you say?
Matt Damon.
I was very
And then
busy.
I tried to add an Italian thing to the end of it. Despite several classes of Italian in college, I couldn't come up with an Italian-sounding ending, so...
Io non capisco l'italiano. I don't understand Italian. Hey, everybody. So we were talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Do you remember where you were when you found out The Secret of the Ooze?
This is the book that Oprah tried to...
This is the book. Well, Jonathon, she wanted it, but Jonathon Franzen, who wrote The Secret of the Ooze, wouldn't let her put it in her book club.
Oh, okay.
Classic Franzen move.
So, okay. I'm excited for this one because we haven't covered the IP of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a long while.
We haven't covered it enough, according to what you always say while slamming your shoe on a table.
It's one of my most influential childhood things. Like all of TMNT and all its iterations that happened, like all these movies, the cartoon, the action figures, the video games.
I mean, when people ask me about you, I say I can describe DJ in 3 words: teenage, mutant, and ninja. We all know you're not a turtle, so that would be stupid to say. I see. Yep, you got a Donatello,
I have a
statuary here from your shrine.
This came from, I think, Burger King. I don't know. Somebody gave it to me. This is from a later iteration, but it's a Donatello for those of you who can't see, aka everyone.
But me.
This is Donatello, and
that's only 75% cadmium, right? And he spins his bow when he does that.
You push a little button, and it sounds like this.
This is good.
This is
good.
A good.
This is great.
Straight up ASMR podcast now. I don't hate it.
I was a Raph head as a kid, but I think I've grown into a Donatello stan.
Yeah, same here because we all know that Leonardo's a fucking nerd.
Oh, fuck him. And he's always up in everyone's business.
I thought I was Raph. I now want to be Donatello, but I'm Leonardo. That's my life.
We all have the sad realization when you realize that you're not as cool and rude as you thought.
Yeah.
You're in fact, what was Leonardo? Did they even come up with an adjective for Leonardo? He's their leader, but he wasn't even their leader. He was vice president. He was middle management of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
My line, everybody has a famous line from when they were kids, and mine was always, guys. So, kind of checks out.
Guys, we have to wait for our manager to come back, our leader to come back. Guys, don't goof off while the teacher's away. I think as an adult, though, I've realized that being rude is not cool. Well,
it is not.
Doing machines is cool. And also purple's more of a unique color. Like everyone loves red.
When that big bow staff? They weren't using the knifey bits anyway on any of the sharp objects.
So you might as well just be gonking people on the heads with a piece of wood that you can also lean on. Or you get a little tired when your knees are about to give out.
Or pole vault if you need to.
Yeah.
Or reach the keys that you dropped down in the sewer grate.
Maybe jimmy something if you need to.
Yeah, you could jimmy all over the place.
Yeah, you could be jimmying left, right, and center. So what about this one specifically? Is this...
Okay, so this one has... they switched Aprils. They were like...
Oh, yeah, they had to upgrade the Aprils.
They got into contract negotiations, and they said, I don't think so. I assume. I have no idea what happened.
It did bother me as a kid. I am a continuity to a fault, a continuity person. And so it bothered me that this woman, while probably matching more alongside what April is supposed to look like, according to the sort of lascivious drawings you've seen of her, this woman is much more traditionally beautiful. While the other one was also beautiful. She was like very 80s, like.
But she's also like feisty and like
she
has
is much
more
more
of an
feisty.
attitude,
Yes,
which I like.
She was much. I think she's much more charming in the first one, at least based on my memories. I've only seen the first one for the show more recently. Also, like, I don't know if we addressed this in our first one. Why the fuck they've decided April O'Neil is a reporter.
Yeah.
So she will constantly be wearing a yellow cargo jumpsuit.
I mean, I think that's just,
Does
reporters in the 80s. Reporters in the 80s. I think we've all seen
Walter Cronkite when when the Challenger exploded and he was wearing that yellow jumpsuit?
Well, she wasn't even like a Anderson Cooper style adventure reporter where she was like in a hurricane 24/7. Yeah. I don't know. I just I do know it's easy to animate and they just wanted to keep using that.
We can she's going to be wearing an outfit. She can have it unzipped to her bosoms if necessary, and it's always necessary.
I think you're thinking of a lot more like fanfic
maybe
than the actual.
I did have to draw her recently, and it was a swamp of weird teenage hormones to just find a drawing of what April O'Neil is supposed to look like.
Wait.
That's not bosomy or tied up.
Did someone commission you to draw April O'Neil?
Wow. DJ, for our Designing Women cartoon, I drew many female characters.
That's true. That's
and April O'Neil was in the background. Please refer to our Instagram feed.
I was going to make this into something to make you feel bad. But
now you are the one
on
who is bad feeling.
Ernie Reyes Jr. is in this. So he was the young kid in Sidekicks, and he was, I think,
Sidekicks, is that the one with Chuck Norris?
Yes.
I thought that was Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris.
No, what was Ernie Reyes in? He played a kid.
He was in Ninja Turtles. Wasn't he in the original Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
In a costume?
Yes. He was one of the, stunt martial art guys. And then...
who had to wear a giant animatronic puppet on his head? Terrifying.
I assume. He's in this movie as himself as well. He's like the pizza delivery guy that like helps him out.
His physiology is in this movie this time. He got upgraded.
Sidekicks. Yeah, get off me. He was in Sidekicks.
Was he the sidekick, though?
I mean, he was the child, so I assume.
Am I with Chuck Norris?
I don't think... Was Chuck Norris in that?
I'm looking at the 1992 movie Sidekicks with Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris.
There's a
yin yang as their logo, and Jonathan Brandis is on the white side of the yin yang, and Chuck Norris is on the black side of the yin yang.
Whoa! No, this is before that.
1986.
Television program called Sidekicks, 1986, 1987. But he was like the little kid with martial arts skill. I don't know.
Here's another connection. Giovanni Ribisi was... Oh, wait. You know what? I confused Sam Rockwell and Giovanni Ribisi. Please ignore me. I was going to make a connection to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that connection no longer exists. But nor did it ever.
Just for fun, though, we got Don Cheadle's in this, apparently. Michael Richards, apparently.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 or Sidekicks?
I'm on Sidekicks.
This is too much. This is too much.
They're too far removed. I'm going to rewind back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. We find out the secret of the Ooze, which is nice.
Mark that off the list. Don't have to worry about that going forward.
Toka and Razor, which I think were creations for this film.
I think they were. The rumor on the playgrounds of Roundtree Elementary in Allen, Texas, was that the intention was to have Bebop and Rocksteady in this movie, but for some reason couldn't get the rights, even though they're part of this thing.
They were busy. They
little known fact, they are actually creatures that exist, and they've always performed as Bebop and Rocksteady in every iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as part of their contract, and they couldn't make it to this one. They were doing some bar mitzvahs they had set aside that summer.
They already had Ninja Turtles on ice at this point, and so they were busy.
Their hands were tied.
This was like, this is funny because Ninja Turtles is one of those things that got like, I was really into, but also like, it's kind of like Star Wars. Like, you can be into Star Wars and then also be like, yeah, I know they did a bunch of stuff. I'm not interested in that. You know what I mean? I'm
you don't have to follow every iteration of Star Wars.
I didn't have like all the cups from McDonald's or whatever, but I did, I did. But like, I'm trying to think of something that I didn't. I'm also
trying to think of how you would follow Star Wars pre the last 10 years without seeing all the Star Wars things. Because aside from the Ewoks series, I guess you have the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I mean, there was all the novels,
the goddamn novels.
So like there's a similar thing where I read the Archie comics, I read the Mirage comics, which is like where they originally came from. Mm-hmm. I watched the first cartoon, and then I've seen all the first there were 3 like main movies.
These
in the 90s.
Meaning these guys, right?
80s, 90s, yeah.
Talking about?
Yeah. And then number 1, 2, and 3, and then they made Michael Bay movies later just a few years ago.
Well, they also had an animated movie, I feel like, in between these two.
It's an animated
movie based off of one of the...
I definitely fell off when I was no longer a child, but I was into this. This came out in, what did we figure out, 91? We got a Vanilla Ice cameo in this.
A huge draw for the kids. Martin Lewis, who I went to elementary school with, he was very into the idea that Vanilla Ice will be in this movie. I was kind of ambivalent towards that aspect. But Martin Lewis did like rapping on the way home. The turtle
rap.
song. Yeah, the ninja rap.
I think even at the time, I don't think I would have been like, this fucking sucks. But I definitely was like, all right.
Why?
How about less of this and more of the Ninja Turtles fighting things, please?
You can't stop synergy, DJ. You can't stop it.
No matter how hard I try.
This was my go-to Ninja Turtles movie. I had the other one, but I think this one I had taped myself, so there was off the TV myself, so there's a weird pride in rewatching this one over the other one.
Like you did the work.
I think, I put in the time. I enjoyed this... It wasn't as low budget as the last one. You could tell they were like, this time we can put money into it. I think it just looked better. I thought the models looked better. It was like less of a dark, dingy movie. Splinter. And they were in New York the whole time, theoretically. Although I think from the look of it, they were on a lot of sound stages the whole time.
Yeah, I can't.
And remember the Super Shredder?
Yeah, because he takes the ooze.
Because of the secrets.
Don't say it like that. Why did I say it like that? Because he takes the ooze. Here's the thing. I'm looking forward to this, but also not, because I don't think this is going to be good. I'm a little worried.
Are you saying that David Warner, star of Titanic, both Titanic 1996 and what was it called? It was like Ship of Dreams or The Longest Night or something. He's been in 2 Titanic movies. He was in Tron. Mm-hmm. You're saying that he would not be he would be in a bad movie. That's what you're saying. Character actor David Warner would be in a bad movie. That's what you're saying.
Look, I just
want to make sure about his name.
I don't want to make any broad statements about Paige Turco and what movies she would agree to be in. But I think we've seen... No. Okay, so we're going to watch...
David Warner, sorry. David Warner, I believe, was a therapist on my college campus. David Warner, though, plays Professor
you're saying
Jordan
those names
Perry.
exactly the same, just so you know. David Warner and then David Warner.
Oh, don't forget, he was also in Star Trek VI.
Oh, David Warner. Okay.
David Warner. Hold on. Before you lead us to the thing, don't you go yet.
Okay.
I want to see what the other Titanic movie he was in.
Okay. We're all waiting.
Please.
Patiently.
I know everyone's on tenterhooks. He also played the Loeb in Freakazoid, so show some goddamn respect. He's also in Time Bandits, also important to SOS Titanic, the TV movie SOS Titanic. He played the love interest in that one, and then he plays the henchman to the villain in 1996 Titanic. That's classic David Warner.
Cool. So we're going to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. Watch along with us. We'll be right back. I will take on the role of Vanilla Ice, and you be the Ninja Turtle, but instead of fighting foot soldiers, you will be doing our ad for us. So I'll be back here doing my dance, pulling my head from side to side in a kind of weird way that makes you realize the angle of his hair matches the angle of the dance. I'll be doing kind of a cool move where he like jumps on one foot and kicks. Yeah. But I'll also be, I'll be making up a rap about you.
So I'm a turtle.
Yes. Well, you're taking
and all that is involved in that, as being also a teenager.
Yes.
Also trained in the ninja arts, and also suffering some sort of genetic malady that has gifted me some sort of intellectual and muscular prowess. Is that's what I am?
I don't think intellectual, but otherwise it is.
Well, I mean, in terms of regular turtles.
Sure, yeah, compared to a turtle. Sure.
So, and my motivation here is to tell people about our Patreon page, which is yourinnerchildisanidiot.com, or you can go to patreon.com/
doing a commercial.
Yourinnerchildisanidiot. That's what I'm...
And like I'm just Walker Herschel.
Hold on. I just want to make sure I've got the bounds of the commercial first before you start bebopping and scatting all over the place.
Damon, rap. Damon.
Wait, is the turtle named Damon?
Go.
The turtle is named Damon. It's not one of the 4 turtles. I'm a separate turtle.
Go. I feel like we should have.
I really feel like we should have workshopped this a little bit. I feel like there's a lot of flab here. I feel like there's a lot of questions I have, and I feel like thus the audience will have, and they'll be.
Don't know which site. I'm in the middle of a fight. I'm just riffing here, you know.
No, I know. I just feel like we really should have scripted it.
It's freestyle. Just like known freestyle rapper Vanilla Ice.
I gotta hand it to him. You know, all the criticism aside, he's a very geometric rapper.
He is. That's true. He's angular.
You could do a proof to that man. QED, you know? That's what should have been his rap name.
QED, that's QED. A good rap name.
It's a good rap name.
And we are back. We watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. The Secret of the Ooze. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. Not a Secret of the Ooze. This is a very specific secret that DJ, do you remember the scene where the secret's revealed?
Oh.
Where the Ooze secret? The titular secret and the eponymous Ooze.
I know this is the wrong show for this, but that was a fabulous secret.
It was one of the fabulous secrets of Grayskull. They never got around to it, so they had to save it for a different franchise.
Let me tell you, okay, before I so graciously allow you to recap this movie,
First off, thank you. God's grace and TJ's grace allow me to recap this movie. Go on.
I maybe didn't remember how much I loved this movie as a kid. I was like, oh my God, I remember every second of this movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like quoting parts.
Staring dead-eyed into your wife's face.
Yeah, not like in an I'm enjoying this way, but in the I watched this so much. And I feel like it's been okay. In real time, it's been like 6 years since we covered the first movie. I think it really was. It was a long time ago.
Was that the first recording that we lost, or the second recording when we tried to make it up?
Which was only like 6 months later. But we did give ourselves a little bit of time. And I think I have seen that movie a lot, but I guess I maybe underestimated how many, probably more times I watched this one.
I had an opposite experience in that I'm like, have I ever seen Act 2 of this movie was my thought. I think I have watched, I know I said in the intro that this was my one.
You lied to our listeners.
Yes. Yeah. What I'm saying is I lied. And I cut 18 minutes of tape out of the Watergate recordings and our intro.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I think maybe you took the better tack. Having not watched this movie. Okay, please recap Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
DJ, thank you.
By Eastman and Laird's based characters based on Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the comic book.
You should have gone with your gut and just stopped earlier. You flew
Starring
too close
Leonardo,
to the sun.
Raphael.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Michelangelo. He's a party dude.
Yeah. That's the thing about him. Okay, so we've got our turtles. It opens. I was about to say in media race. That's false. It opens fairly close to the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
April O'Neil apparently has had massive amounts of cosmetic surgery. She looks completely different. Otherwise, our heroes look the same. They're bunking with apes for a minute. I should actually be clear. April O'Neil, they're not bunking with like mutated apes that also solve crimes.
They're also not like bunking sounds like they're sleeping with her.
That's true. Some sort of quadrilateral or quintuple, would that be? Quintuple?
Quintuple. Yeah,
The
definitely.
kids these days watching Euphoria doing quintuples.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, that's true.
Quintuple,
None
but-
of those should have one. So they're still
bunking
concerned
with apes. Let's go back to
They're
that.
bunking apes, and they're still concerned about the Foot Clan. But hey, Shredder's gone. What's the worry? They're looking for a new place, still subterranean if possible.
It's where turtles belong, I guess.
Well, yeah. And, Raph is being his usual self, a little bristly around the edges. Leonardo still being queer-coded, I would say. That's actually, we can posit that later. The point is, what is the point? They order a lot of pizzas. They're trashing April's place. And TGRI, thank God, Ralph's interred.
Techno Global Research Institute. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. I know that like the back of my hand.
Seems like these guys are the ones that have some sort of secret.
They seem to have a secret, and they seem to be producing a lot of ooze. Are those two things connected? I don't know. April's trying to do some reporting on them. They find giant mutated dandelions. When
Seems
Splinter
unrelated.
sees the report, he remembers, the canister that I found the turtles in that mutated all of us had TGRI on it. Oh my God, there's secrets here. Perhaps you should investigate the ooze. The turtles do so. But, my friend,
What?
DJ,
Uh-oh.
you know Shredder from the last movie?
Yes, I do remember.
Do you remember when his head was crushed by a garbage truck?
I do. I remember when the top of his helmet was crushed by a garbage can, at least.
I think you're noticing a hole in that.
I inferred that his
act,
entire head,
Act
therefore,
3
was
climax. Okay. Yes. Turns out he's alive, doing fine,
shit.
actually. A few cuts on the face, otherwise A-okay.
That's
so he
nice.
wants to get to the bottom of the ooze, too, because he'd like some freaks to battle the freaks, our turtle friend freaks.
Okay.
So he is also in search of ooze. TGRI. TGRI is about to get rid of their last canister of ooze when the foot soldiers and the turtles come upon it. Blam, blam, blam. Kick, kick, kick. Who ends up with the ooze? The Foot Clan. They create two monsters.
Two
mutated
royalty-free monsters.
Two legally available monsters. What are their names? Toka and Razor. Not even Razor, just Razor, which are a snapping turtle. It's like you're already going back to the turtle well. Like, come on. And then you've got a wolf. You know how wolves are readily available in the New York City area? Those two, and they turn them into some sort of humanoid monsters who are even more intellectually bereft than the turtles, but are stronger than them. Oh, and Raph, you know how he was bristly earlier? He leaves the group again.
Oh, he wouldn't do that.
Fed up the fact that they're looking for real estate rather than fighting the Foot Clan. He takes his new friend Keno, who is a pizza delivery boy. You know how they make friends real quick with the pizza delivery boys.
I've seen porn.
They're a friendly group. It's a friendly career. Anyway, they try and
Be a
infiltrate
pizza delivery boy. Meet new people. Have sex with them.
penetrate them. They try and infiltrate the Foot Clan. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Raph gets kidnapped again. The turtles go back to save him. It's a trap. They have to fight Toka and Razor. They get out by the skin of their teeth. They take David Warner, the scientist from TGRI who had been kidnapped by the Foot Clan, with them. Yada, yada, yada. The Foot Clan wants to fight them again in another movie set-like location. And they fight them, but they give them anti-mutagen donuts. But it turns out they need more carbon dioxide, and so they spray fire extinguishers on them. Vanilla Ice is there doing a concert in what I could only assume was a barbecue restaurant. And eventually they defeat Toka and Razor. They turn into a very cute snapping turtle, a very cute wolf, and then a Super Shredder, my apologies, just Shredder, no super Latinate prefix on his name yet. He takes some ooze, becomes a Super Shredder, fights them, sort of smashes up a dock. They jump in the water. He crushes himself under the dock. He is finally dead. And you know what the turtles realize? What? They still love being turtles.
Oh, because they jumped in water.
You got it. So that's the secret of the ooze. The secret of said ooze was, what would you say the secret of the ooze was, TJ?
I think the secret was that the ooze is what made them transform, because they never really knew. The secret of the ooze was just that it was TGRI that was responsible for it, but it's a little bit of a misnomer. You know, like they knew there was some sort of ooze, but they didn't know what the company was or what they were. We still don't really know what they were doing. Why do they have all this ooze? I think they did say there was like one sentence where he sort of explained what the ooze was for, but
yeah, I mean, David Warner's character,
it's like toxic waste, basically.
He explains it, but he explains it in a way I'm like, isn't that what I was to assume from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that it is toxic waste and they mutated in it and that's it? Because there's no secret. Everything about it is what I already assumed about it. And TGR, we never know what they're doing with it. When you say things like the secret of the ooze, it implies that some revelation will occur. And
it does.
The closest we get is Donatello's 5-minute existential crisis. And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Unless Taka and Razor are the secrets of the ooze, but then they're plural secrets.
They also, that there's sort of an emphasis. I don't know if you've noticed this. There's an emphasis just in general with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in all the movies and many of the comic books that they enjoy pizza.
I never noticed that.
It's like a thing for them.
Yeah.
But this movie portends that it's a New York obsession. Everyone in this movie is obsessed with pizza, except for maybe April seems a little over it. I think she's like, pizza again, but she eats the pizza. She's like, that's fine.
People tend to like it. Yeah, I think when I was a kid, I took the opening sequence as some sort of sign that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had inspired New Yorkers to eat pizza, which, in retrospect, is ludicrous. People like pizza.
Yeah, they weren't the first. I guess maybe did they? What is it about? Did pizza really, really catch on in the 80s?
I feel like pizza became a real more common food in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, like
so
fast
maybe
food,
that by
pizza.
The 80s it was mainstream enough that as stoner food or something.
And to be fair, New York
out.
is specifically known for pizza because of New York pizza. But yeah, it was just weird.
Although you could have set the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also in St. Louis, another pizza capital of the world.
Chicago, just throwing pieces of cake up in the air and catching it on Splinter's head. He was knocked unconscious.
Or Detroit, where it's like, we don't have a lot of sauce, so we're just putting 2 stripes on it. They still have the New York accent in Detroit, which I love.
I love all kinds of pizza. So
I'm going to be honest. I like eating bread that's covered in cheese and marinara sauce. I'm not going to lie to you. And
I kind of enjoy the debate because I like people getting a little saucy, if you will, about their favorite kind. But it's also like, Like if literally almost any kind of pizza, I'm not any topping, but any kind of pizza is like presented to me, I'm gonna fucking eat it. That's delicious. Get off me.
Yeah, I make fun of
Chicago style. Get out of here.
What? But I will still eat it.
I mean, the only thing about Chicago style is like I can't eat a lot of it, like because I'm a chubby guy, but I've only got so much room. Still.
Your stomach is still the size of a human stomach.
It is, yeah. It doesn't all of a sudden become a pocket dimension where you can fit infinite volume. So anyway, okay. So the two main pizza points I wanted to make here were, I thought it was weird that they sort of like moved the obsession away from the turtles are still very much obsessed with pizza, but it was like everyone was like. Right. The scientist says pepperoni heaven at some point, and they just go like, even the turtles are like, yeah. Anyway, like,
well, you know what?
It's clearly not a pepperoni pizza that he was eating. Just like give him a pepperoni pizza if that's the line.
It's like when that independent band you love goes mainstream. You kind of then you start to feel like you got mainstreamed along with it. When when the Ninja Turtles were known for loving that ethnic food pizza that no one else likes, and now everyone of the five boroughs is eating it like fucking basic bitches with their Uggs and their pumpkin spice lattes and their pizzas.
The thing that's weird about that, though, is for like a movie that is kind of saying, hey, we're embracing pizza. We love pizza. The whole city loves pizza. All of the pizza looks fucking disgusting in this movie. Also,
it does. It's also presumably room temperature at all times. All of the pizzas they eat seem to be like laying out in the danger zone, as the restaurant community would say. Like,
this was 1991. We didn't know about the danger zone yet.
Germ theory only really took off in 2004.
Yeah. They also clearly underseasoned because Donatello's spending like 9 minutes salting and peppering every slice of pizza he sees. What are you doing? Are you salting pizza?
Have you ever felt the need to salt a pizza?
Red pepper flakes, maybe. Like that's pretty standard. That comes with a lot of pizzas. Parmesan cheese, which is, I guess, in a way, salting it. Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. And it's also, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles they're not Macbeth. Like, they only have so many character traits. They're not like deep, deep wells of insecurities. Like, they are ninjas. They're like 3 out of their 4 character traits are named in their title. And then the 4th one is pizza. And then this movie's like, let's not focus too much on that. Although, I feel like the opening, there's stacks
a lot of
boxes just in April O'Neil's apartment.
I don't think they take it away from the Turtles, but they just also give it to everyone else in New York.
I imagine that her apartment smells like when we get back into the car the next morning after having picked up pizza the night before. Like, I feel like that's what her apartment smells like.
Did you ever
times.
have turtles growing up?
TJ, I did have a turtle growing up.
Oh God, this is a painful memory. Let's get into it. What's going on, buddy?
I wanted a box turtle.
Sure.
The classic
folds up.
Little tween boy turtle. They didn't have a box turtle at the Pass Pets.
Go for an Eastern slider.
Which one has the red stripe on the side of its head?
I think it's either a red-eared slider or an Eastern slider, something like that.
They are not a friendly turtle.
No, they are. Yeah,
they're bitey. I call the big one bitey.
Sure.
And it did not like being in my home.
Sure, they're meant to.
Pretty much immediately stopped eating, died frozen in its aquarium. I didn't realize it was dead for probably 2 days because it was like in perfect statuesque position. And he's buried somewhere behind our house in Allen, Texas.
What was his name?
TBD. I can't remember.
I had so many turtles. I had a lot of turtles. I inadvertently killed them all.
They're a long-lived. They're one of the few animals that lives longer out in the wild than in the home of a teenage boy.
Well, and I didn't They were kind of hard to take care of, and I don't think this is a good thing, but I did also capture them from the wild, and I would bring them home, and then sometimes my parents knew about it, and sometimes later they'd just be like, "Do you want us to get some food for that?" And I'd be like, yes, please. They have before any animal rights activists come to it, I don't think that was a good thing. I don't condone the capture of wild animals. Was a child of the 80s, and I love the Ninja Turtles. I feel like I regret my decisions as a pet owner, okay?
I mean, turtles are one of the few animals you like, I've noticed over the years.
Yeah.
They do seem really nice. I always am excited when I see a turtle in real life. I get ridiculously excited.
They're harder to spot.
Yeah, because they're like, please leave me alone. They also look like a fucking rock half the time. But I wonder if there is a 101 Dalmatians link to turtles in the 80s like there was for Dalmatians in the 60s and then again in the 90s. All the boys in my class either had turtles or wanted them.
Yeah.
And it was probably a turtle genocide out there because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah, I bring up this horrible thing because turtles have a very distinct smell in their aquarium, and that's all I could imagine right now. But for some reason this time, like because they're showing them being sort of the more teenage side of them, which is sloppy, like they have their stuff everywhere in April's apartment, and the pizza smell. I'm imagining just sense memory, get that smell of a turtle's aquarium, or terrarium, and then now put stale pizza in that. That's what I'm imagining. Plus, like they do have like some human-esque, so maybe there's like BO also in there.
Yeah,
also,
their bodies are changing. They're teenage. They're active. They lead an active lifestyle. I imagine, they're not used to their sweat glands, changing with their teenage bodies. They're seeing hair.
It's not a great smell, is what I'm saying. It's not a good
They're
smell.
probably not seeing hair where there was no hair before. But because they're turtles,
We are like 1 minute into this movie at this point. Do you want to talk about Ernie? Ernie Reyes Jr., who is Kino.
Yeah, let's talk about Ernie. First off, he introduces himself to us from a 2022 perspective. He doesn't create a great impression upon his first line, which is hitting on girls outside his pizza shop, which, okay. He says, which one of you lovely ladies are going to take a ride on my... he drives a little scooter, a little Vespa, like Roman holidaying all over New York City.
One of the many ways in which this movie compares to Roman holiday.
I would say he's more of an Audrey Hepburn type. He says, which one of you ladies are going to ride on our scooter, on my scooter tonight? And I can't remember what they say.
In your dreams.
Right. And he says, yeah, but in my dreams, I think of someone thinner, which is a very now cliche straight guy move, which is hit on a woman. She says rejects you in some way, and then you immediately tell her she's ugly, which is
kind of a dig on you as well.
Misogynist, and also like you were just hitting on her. So it's just very confusing. So that was distasteful. And then he's a little crime fighter. He sees some weird activity going on at an arcade.
It's a mall.
Toy shop.
It's like a weird old school mall, like a tiny arcade in the old sense.
I wrote down here. These are probably some of the most well-to-do thieves I've ever seen. They all were wearing button-up shirts or fleece, like LL Bean pullovers, Dockers. Some were pleated. They all looked like Delta Upsilon just let out from the spring formal, and they decided to go put some pantyhose over their faces and go rob the place. Also, I want to say, for the record, this is my first introduction to thieves with pantyhose over their faces.
Yes, yeah. I think I don't know if this is first, but this was definitely the most memorable. Being that I saw this movie 1,000 times, but also like another weird something's going on with these guys because there's
something's not quite right.
Well, not only are they burgling this mall, but there's like 25 of them.
There's like so many.
What is your cut of this take? If you succeed in this burglary, what are you doing?
Yeah, it is ranking up there with Bilbo Baggins, and like, we're going to have to do a lot of math if we ever actually sort out this horde at the end of this thing. Yeah, there's so many, and it's the most well-lit mall. And I'm talking in
After
1980s terms,
yeah.
the most well-lit mall I've ever seen. They're doing it with all the lights on and just robbing electronics and stores and toy stores.
Well, I don't know if they were actually robbing the toy store, or if that was just adjacent, and so they end up in the toy store when the turtles kind of attack. I'm not sure, but this also,
and they're not even. It's not at least made clear that they are associated with the Foot Clan.
I don't think they are.
They're just 600 thieves in a mall.
Well, the famously 40 thieves is what you need to get something done. So they had
famously, that's the primo number for thieves. For thousands of years now, we've all known the right number, 40.
And
you all want to dress a casual Friday if you can.
Is that leather? Oh, suede. Even interesting. So they not only
feeling the fabric between their fingers before they break into the mall.
Not only does this introduce us to pantyhose over the face as a way of masking your identity until you take it off to attack the Kino, but also
to see Kino, which almost just like makes it.
Yeah.
What's the point of this? Why do you choose nylons, as my grandma would say, to cover your face?
This also taught me that violence was a reasonable response to theft. It was like, that's what you do, is like, oh, these thieves are breaking in, so therefore they're not really, I guess they do end up apprehending them sort of in an unconscious pile.
If I've learned anything from this movie, violence is a reasonable response to everything. And murder is the proper punishment for leading a gang of thieves. Crushing their skull under a garbage truck or under a dock. If
Shredder did murder someone, the origin story in the first movie, he killed.
Oh right, he murdered
Hamato
someone
Yoshi's
50
wife.
years ago in ancient Japan. He's not a time traveler, Damon.
Well, wait till next movie. Shredder's not in that, but also the Ninja Turtles. What are the Ninja Turtles famous for? You mentioned
they're famous for being teenagers. They're famous for being mutants. They're famous for being ninjas, turtles implied, and they love pizza.
And each of them have a distinct weapon, right?
Weapon, yes.
Michelangelo's known for nunchucks.
You've got
staff for Donatello.
Bow staff. You got the Oh, did you already say nunchucks? Yeah. Size for Raphael. By the way, I tried to play Psy in a game of Scrabble against my grandpa. He did not accept it.
What?
It's also not in Webster's dictionary, which was the dictionary we used for play. Yeah, sorry. And of course, Leonardo has the katanas.
Katanas, yeah. And
swords.
They refuse to use them in this movie. Like they're like even the non-lethal
nunchucks just whap them. Just whapping them.
Bow staff. I mean, you could obviously, those could be lethal if you wielded them as such, but I understand stowing the katanas and even the size, although I think only the middle blade is supposed to be sharp, and I don't know about his. I think his looks like they're all dull.
Yeah, because the side it looks like a fork essentially, and the two tines on the side are flared away.
Yeah,
and then the middle one is the pointy end.
I don't know enough about the actual weapons, whether they're always that way or if that was four. Let's see. Sai is a traditional Asian melee weapon. Used for striking and blocking.
Okay.
It's famously used in ninjutsu and kobujutsu. Basic form of the weapon is that a sharp metal prong with two carved side prongs. So I guess it could be either way. They're made, it looks like both ways, but it looks more stabby sharp than knife sharp. Regardless.
Yeah, it's a stabbing tool. You don't want to be cutting a loaf of bread with them.
This was definitely a conscious choice with this movie. They were not going to be using their weapons hardly at all. And when they use them,
I think that's conscious with the last one as well. They don't.
Not as much.
They don't use them.
They don't use them very much.
Okay.
They use them even less. And when they do use them, it's like Donatello uses his staff to pole vault himself.
Right. He also carries a pool cue, chalk, whatever you would call that thing. He uses that a lot, which I guess it's a visual gag in a way.
I didn't get that as a kid. I just thought that was the thing he needed to do. It wasn't until much later that I was like, like a pool cue.
I remember there were some concerns with the weapons in the first one. I do believe you're right. I also believe that this movie is far wackier, which is something a weird thing to say about a movie about mutated turtles, than the first one, to the point where there are cartoonish sound effects throughout the like. It's very distracting to me. Also, I felt like each of the turtles had something in their contract. I remember in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, one of the ways they got Disney and Warner Brothers to agree to do it, to loan out their characters to Disney, was that Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse had to have the exact same amount of screen time and lines as each other, which they did. And it felt that the turtle performers all had a 4-way contract saying the same, because every scene involved them all separately having a reaction to something.
Yeah.
Which I feel like added maybe 15 minutes to the overall runtime of this movie, where they get gassed at one point and Raphael says, "Oh, great." And then Leonardo, I was like, okay, moving on. Yeah. And then Leonardo pops out of the smoke and goes, "Wonderful." And then Donatello has to come out and say, "Oh, brother," or whatever he says. And then Michelangelo says, "My wife left me." I don't know. But they all had something to say. And I was like, why do you all have something to say all the time? There were a lot of scenes where I think this is probably like an after, like part of their Muppet DNA, which was every time they were startled or someone said something weird, they'd be like, "Huh?" Yeah. It was very, like, you don't have to vocalize everything. You can just have them turn their heads. We can see them. There's no reason to just vocalize every single emotion they fucking have in this movie.
Well, they also, like, every quip is like, I kept thinking of, and I think you even said this when we were texting. It was very much like Pert Hapley. Like, it was like, I hear what you're saying, and I don't get what you're saying, but it had the cadence of a joke.
There was the reason I texted you is that once they find their new lair, which they do, I forgot to mention that in my recap. My apologies to everyone listening. Yeah. They call April O'Neil to let them know that they'd found a place, and Donatello says, "We only have brought the essentials down." And then Michelangelo opens a suitcase, pulls out 2 bags of potato chips, 2 different flavors, and says, "Yeah, the bear essentials," and laughs. And I went, what does that mean? I know it. You want me to laugh at that, but I don't. Is he complaining about the brand name of the potato chips? Or is he saying that potato chips are essential and the humor is that they're not really essential? It was just very
because it's the emphasis on bear too, which is like
he does put the emphasis on bear.
Because you could have made that a joke by being like, "Yeah, only the bare essentials," and he's like. Right. Showing, and it's not a good joke, but it would be like, I see what you're saying. You're saying potato chips aren't an essential, but you're a teenager, so to you, they're an essential. Sure. Yeah. Here you go.
But it was like the way, the cadence of a joke, but not an actual joke.
I do want to talk about that since you brought it up. I think that the bit when they're on the phone when Donatello calls April, and then Michelangelo is basically like haranguing him while he's on the phone, like, "Give me the phone," and they like fight over that is by far the best like scene of the movie. There's a lot of like,
it was a very teenage moment.
It was very teenage, and he has like a very like, "Oh, make sure you tell her," like, which is like, and she laughs, like she's very amused by this whole thing, and then they're like doing like Three Stooges, like, "Would you give me that?" Right, and that one actually did make me laugh. Whereas a lot of the stuff that I definitely loved as a kid, I was like, "Well, that's stupid."
Swing and a miss.
I'm not saying this was like high art or anything, but that was, I think, the best executed of the humor, because at least it was just like showing them being, it's a kind of a, I don't think it's the most dire situation yet in the movie, but is like, they're talking about, this, and we don't know where Raphael is, but they're just being goofy.
Oh, the other 50% of my the laughs that landed with me, the attentional jokes of the movie that made me laugh, one of which was them going into, when they were saving Raph from what eventually turns out to be a foot trap, they say they say, it's very quiet here. And Leonardo says, yeah, a little too quiet. And then I can't remember what the second one is, something, a little too something. Then they say, hey, there's Raph. And then Michelangelo says, a little too Raph. And I laughed.
I like that.
And then they immediately kind of soured it with more Muppet-esque, like, oh, hey, stop that, you guys. Yeah. Why I oughta. Yeah, no more monkey shines. Poke them in the eyes. It was, that was it. Now, I'm not saying I guffawed at that. I just went,
yeah, it's a good, like that
little laugh.
If all of the humor had been on that level, it would have been pretty successful. But it was like, that was one of the few hits of a lot of like monkey shines.
There were a lot of monkey shines, my grandma would say. And Mo Howard. I should mention that Mo Howard was my grandmother.
And turtle shines.
I have two things, but before I just want to mention two, just passing by things. Susie Essman of Curb Your Enthusiasm and Broad City plays the neighbor of April O'Neil, the wife of the couple that are complaining about all the calisthenics that she's apparently doing in her apartment. And
there's a lot
Tyler,
of flipping in the
that
apartment.
Was the most engaged Tyler was in the movie. He goes, Susie! And then we started doing our Susie Essman Curb Your Enthusiasm impersonations, and that's about the peak of it for Tyler before he delved into the vortex that was his phone. And I also want to say one of my favorite things, the Where's Waldo of movies, which is the obligatory baguette in a grocery bag to let you know that this person is carrying groceries. So you have to have the baguette sticking out the top of
some sort of like celery.
Yeah, celery and a baguette. If you can afford it. If you're in a pinch, just the baguette, please.
Just the baguette. Yeah, Lauren's most engagement was when the first time you see the TGRI ooze, she's like, do you think that's the ooze? Do you think there's a radical anti-cop agenda with this movie?
Yeah. Thank you. Leading question, but I'll accept it. There was a little charming anti-cop stuff in the middle after Taka and Razor, our two favorite characters, are sent loose on what looked to be the outdoor Seinfeld set, where they push down telephone poles and knock over a 1977 Buick Skylark, and that's about it. And I guess then they're sort of corralled back into it. Now, New York City, I don't know what its population was in 1992, but you'd think on a city block, more than two people would have saw these monsters.
No.
I did appreciate, this might have been my only other half-hearted laugh, intentional laugh, when the older couple who's getting into a cab at the other end of the block goes, those monsters are tearing up the street. And the wife goes, let them get their own cab. Again, that is probably also in that purred happily area where it's enough of a joke that I'll give it something. I don't really know what the joke is, but if I had just learned English as a second language, I would say this seems familiar. New Yorkers are so used to chaos in their fair city that they will mutated monsters will just attack.
Movies of this era go to that well a lot. Ghostbusters does it. A lot of movies where there's something crazy going on in New York. They've seen it all, man.
What an asshole. That's a joke from Ghostbusters, a much better movie, when the carriage driver calls Seymour Krelborn. No, not Seymour Krelborn, but Louis Tully, another Rick Moranis favorite.
Man,
what an asshole.
Spoiler alert. Ghostbusters, the original, is better movie than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
You heard it here first.
Just putting it out there.
But has the same amount of aggrieved white boys whenever you remake it, complaining about anything you do.
Can we talk about Vanilla Ice?
Oh, that's one of my favorite Tilda Swinton movies. We need to talk about Vanilla Ice, but yes, go ahead.
It's the actual concurrent sequel between, we need to talk about Kevin and Vanilla Sky.
You didn't know that took place in the same universe?
Yeah,
but it does.
It does. This is one of those, like, I feel like this doesn't happen as much anymore. Like,
the ham-fisted cameo of a current peak pop star?
BTS didn't just like show up in No Way Home. You know what I mean? Like, or the latest Batman movie. I mean, that's, I guess, like, I think that's part of it too, is this is a different, this kind of movie is like not taking itself seriously. So this kind of thing would fit.
Well, remember when we were watching Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and all of a sudden Macy Gray is there?
That's true. That's sort of that more of that line. And, at the time, you could have guessed that maybe Vanilla Ice was basically done. You couldn't have maybe guessed about being on a reality show and sort of revamping his career in a weird way. But, like, you could have guessed, but you wouldn't know that, hey, Macy Gray, like, is not going to have, like, this maybe long storied career. You're just taking a gamble, right? With anybody who's like new and not like this legacy artist. Like if you had Elton John in Spider-Man, like that even if he has no more hits, he's still Elton John. But like Vanilla Ice,
it won't put an immediate timestamp on your movie.
But I think you're right though that like it's very much of its time.
I think people have gotten a little more savvy about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that sometimes with older movies.
Well, and Billie Eilish just won an
true.
Oscar for singing the James Bond song, which is different.
But she's not in James Bond.
She's not in it. Yeah. I think that's a very different thing.
And I mean, I think James Bond is also like one of those cultural artifacts that sort of exists out of time at this point, no matter how much they try and make it seem culturally relevant. There's always these little sort of vestigial bits, which part of it is like, let's get whatever the sort of croony person or, big brassy female voice and have her sing a song about with the title just shoehorned into it. The Vanilla Ice thing, it is really, I'm trying to think of a more recent example of this happening. And I really am sort of drawing a blank outside of the Macy Gray one. And that's mostly because we watch these movies for this fucking podcast.
Yeah. I think so there's a whole, just in case you want the scene described in more detail, they sort of like are thrown into a club when they're fighting the Foot Clan, and then it's a Vanilla Ice concert. And so they're fighting, and everybody kind of thinks, they're like, what's going on? But they think it's part of the show, which I never, but they're New Yorkers, they've seen everything. And
it's true. And they're probably all high on, was Molly around yet? Molly was a
mescaline thing, or
I don't know. Jack Kerouac's
they start to get into it, and then Vanilla Ice ostensibly freestyles with the band already playing something before he comes in. They make up the ninja rap, and the Ninja Turtles defeat the Foot Clan, and the Antoka and Razor make them into their original animal selves, and then they do a coordinated dance together.
Yeah, so, and David Warner, let's pour one out for his dignity, because he does some mom dancing in the crowd, which, bully for him. He's been through a lot already.
He went for it. I like that. I also,
Well, I mean, I think he's from that class of British actors, like, I know exactly what you want me to do, just give me my check. As long as it clears, I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah, it's fine. I will say, how did they learn this dance? But also, the Ninja Turtles as depicted in this movie do seem like the kind of guys who would just have a choreographed dance. I used to do that with my friends.
Yeah, I've heard of people with more than one friend doing that.
You just have a dance that you've been working on. I could see them busting it out and being like, this fits this beat enough. Let's do it. I remember
my girlfriends from high school would talk about, sometimes learning the dance to things.
Sure.
Or and I'm like, you and I lead very different lives. Which is funny, because now as I got older, I realized, there were a lot of also boys that learned all the dances to these things. And I just never had an inkling to do that. Yes, but that's also, I'm already, I'm all in on the Turtles, I guess, at this point. So I might as well just accept the rules of musicals as well. That, of course, they all know the words and the dance moves that they're all going to do together.
Well, and this whole scene is set up like basically, if you've ever been to a theme park and those live action shows, like the Indiana Jones show that they have, or the stunt show, it's very much like that's what this is. Because then Shredder busts in on stage and
Right.
like, holds a girl hostage, and then they play the guitar real loud and it throws him out of the room somehow.
Yeah, they Marty McFly him.
Yeah, and it's like, that's all very like, welcome to the Ski Spectacular Stuff Show. Like, this is, you can tell we're really setting the stage for the touring Ninja Turtles show that comes later on in the mid-90s.
No doubt. That was coming to the Arlington Arena in Texas. I wanted to make 2 notes about this club. Actually,
I love it. I want to buy it.
I'll rescind that. 1.5 notes about this club. First off, they have popcorn out, which
No,
they have bowls of popcorn on the tables, which is, if more clubs had that, I'd probably have gone to more clubs. I would have loved going to gay bars if they had just out in the middle of the dance floor, just a little picnic table with a bowl and like a single serving, by the way. Not a big like, hey, we rented a movie. You get in here, we made popcorn. Not one of those bowls. A singular tiny bowl of popcorn on it.
Your argument is more loose handfuls. Of food in clubs.
In clubs where everyone's,
nightclubs.
drinking and all over each other, and then they can take their sticky, liquor-soaked fingers and grab some finger food. They're also, the picnic tables were straight out of a barbecue joint. Like, they were wooden picnic tables.
Underground club, Damon. They are hoeing their own row. Okay?
Where the top pop star of the day is performing. Although Vanilla Ice might be playing a character. Do we ever actually hear him referred to as Vanilla Ice?
I don't.
Maybe he's playing his next iteration, Vanilla Sky, as you hinted at.
Yeah.
He's played by Penelope Cruz in the movie.
I have some quotes, and then I have a couple of bigger things I'm going to talk about.
Please.
Okay, this is something I may have said this in the intro, so I'll keep it brief. My cousin and I quoted this not that long ago, like within 5 years ago, when we were at New Year's Eve at my aunt's house. Just a wild New Year's Eve we were having. April brings the turtles napkins, and then she's like, "Oh, I've got some napkins for you," and they both, with mouthfuls of pizza, go, "What for?"
Mm-hmm. Teenagers.
And, we did that to her, and she did not get it. But we had to explain to her. That is from Teenage Mutant. But we did it at the same time.
Many funny lines from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: A Secret of the Ooze.
I didn't realize it was from this movie, but every time that I see dandelions, I think, dandelions, which is the weird way that April has this assistant who ends up being a member. He's like he's a member of the Foot Clan. And
a story that goes almost nowhere.
Yeah.
He eventually delivers a line for her to deliver to the turtles, but I figured, like, if you went this far with it, you'd do something with, like, kidnap April. That seems to be what movies of this ilk always seem to do. But nothing. It barely goes anywhere.
It seems like there was a storyline.
It feels like that's
dropped.
something they could have just completely excised that character and just had a guy deliver a message to April O'Neil. They already knew they were close.
But they would have gotten. We wouldn't have gotten the most amazing line, which is when Freddy, or whatever his name is, he discovers the giant dandelions that have, the ooze has been spilled on them. And he just goes, dandelions. I don't know why I enjoy that so much, because it's weird. And then also when Shredder discovers that Toka and Razor are idiots, and they call him Mama, he comes screaming out of the building, babies! They're babies. Which I'm going to say anytime I have to visit my friends with kids.
I do appreciate that Shredder has great acoustics no matter where he is.
Yeah.
Open air junkyard, great acoustics. In a shed of his own making, great acoustics. Always talking like this, with an echo, no doubt. It must be that mask, I imagine.
Yeah. Okay. So this is.
These are the big things? Are we doing the big things?
No, it's not a big thing.
All right.
It's not a big thing.
Okay.
It's bigger. I like what these. I think it's more to the credit of the first movie than this one, but I think they did a good job making the turtles look different from each other. Uh-huh. They're different. They're like, they're, because if you look at the action figures, or even the cartoon, or even the beginning of the comics, they're the same. And even in the comic books, they actually, it's black and white, but when they do have color, they all had red bandanas.
Yeah,
It was
I remember that on the cover
cartoon,
of the Nintendo game.
Yeah,
they all
was the
had red
cartoon, and then I think the Archie comics that actually gave them the red, blue. I can't remember all the colors right now. Red, blue, orange, purple.
You did great.
Thank you. But they also give them like different shapes. Like Donatello is tall and he's got kind of a weird, like the biggest head. And then Michelangelo is like the short guy and he's like just kind of generally smaller. And he's got like
he's also got big eyes.
Yeah, he's got big eyes and kind of a round head. Raph's kind of like in between. And then Leonardo's kind of in between Raphael and Michelangelo. I don't know. I thought that was they didn't have to go that hard, I guess, and that, it kind of fits that they have slightly different personalities. And I do think they kind of abandoned some of the different personality stuff, but I wanted to give them kudos for the look because I do think on the flip side, they look even weirder in this movie. I was expecting it to be a little bit of a step up because there was more money, but I think they look even weirder.
I think they look... I did actually, after I was done watching this, I watched the trailers for the other two, as well as the Michael Bay ones, and watched a trailer for one of the animated versions because I was on a roll.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Get up? I will say this looks a lot cleaner than the original one. I mean, even just their suits look more refined and polished. I will say I missed Corey Feldman, which is... the first time I've ever said that. Donatello is played by a different guy this time. Yeah. I think the other three are all the same voice actors as before. But this time, it's Donatello's a little bit different, and I wasn't as into his voice. Also, Donatello sort of is... he sort of gets... I'm almost the starring role between him and Raph of the main turtles, I think because the scientist is in this one. Right. But they didn't really define as well who Donatello was in this. So he does sort of hang out with the scientist a lot, and you get the impression... I knew because...
you bring the lore with you.
I bring the lore with me, of course, much like the Silmarillion. But
Damon, put that down, please.
Now I just want to read a passage.
Look, well, the seat's not high enough. Gives me a little boost.
I don't know. I feel like they could have differentiated his character a little bit better than... I think Leonardo takes a back seat in this one, and he's not as Poindextery as usual. Yeah. But I also think he doesn't get as many lines, aside from grunts and hi. He's terrible. Raph does the exact same fucking thing he does in the first movie. But Donatello felt like he was they were trying to like make him Michelangelo while Michelangelo was being Michelangelo. Yeah. And it was a little, it was a bit much for me.
I felt like in the first movie, they kind of, I don't know if they did it like intentionally when they came to the movie, or if it kind of developed as they were doing the movie with puppets, or not puppets, but giant rubber suits. I'm guessing that they meant to do it, but they like Donatello because Leonardo and Raphael are like the adults. They're always fighting, and there's like this tussle over leadership. And then so Donatello and Michelangelo are like, they become buddies. You can tell like they're buddies, and they're kind of like, Donatello's like the brainy one, and Michelangelo's just like, the fun time guy, but like they're the odd man out. They're like the middle siblings who are like, whatever, you guys figure this out. We're just gonna have pork rinds over here. And I think they tried to like kind of recreate that dynamic and just failed. Basically, it was just like, I don't get what we're doing here. It seems like two people are trying to goof off too much.
Yeah, it felt like they sort of blended into the same character.
Yeah. But one has a purple bandana. So
did you catch that? Orange. Easter egg for the fans. Yeah. Some of the bandanas are different colors. I just want to say there is, you mentioned an anti-cop agenda. There's also an anti-garbage man agenda in that they didn't notice that there was a human body in the trash. Like, come on, guys. Like
this is New York, though. They've seen everything.
They've seen everything. I see like 3 or 4 bodies in the trash.
What's the big deal?
The only thing exceptional about this one is that it was alive and in one piece. I have a nominee for the Catherine O'Hara Memorial MVP Award, which was the Foot Clan Recruiter. Did you catch him? He was wearing a little page boy cap.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like
He was the
Stephen
lead
Wright
singer
or
of
maybe like a Lou
AC/DC.
Ferrigno. Yeah, he looked straight out of an AC/DC cover band. And he's like, all right, you guys. And he pluralized everything. I couldn't get it. I think he even had a toothpick that he was holding in his mouth. It was, mwah, mwah. It was wonderful. I loved it. I'm like, what movie are you from, sir?
It was definitely like that guy was the best actor in his community theater. And he knocked it out of the park. I mean, I don't know what else you'd want from him.
No notes. 10 out of 10. Would visit again.
Let's go to the verdict. What do you say?
No. I thought you had big things. You had big things.
I lied. I don't have big
Oh,
things.
I've got one big thing I want to talk about.
Okay. Is it that if you're going to say you made a funny, you might want to make a joke before you do that?
I even remembered that being an actual joke. But it's just a reference to fucking Vanilla Ice again.
You did not make another funny. You didn't make the first funny. Because all you said in the first movie was cowabunga, which is just a word.
It's because it's also the last line of the movie. He doesn't give you a chance to rebut him, which is offensive. It's rude. Like, if you're going to make a statement like that, the rule of forensics is that I get to, you've invoked my name. I have 2 minutes to respond.
Hi, Splinter. Can I call you Sensei? Can I call you Splinter?
Representative Splinter, just one question. How is that funny? It's like if I just started using the lyrics to Downtown by Petula Clark and I said, I made a funny. I'm like, no, you made a reference. That's that's the difference.
It's a great song, though.
Oh, this is a little thing. The wolf looks terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
that's it.
The snapping turtle's not great either.
He's not great, but they had perfected their humanoid turtle technology. They were like, got it. Just
What's the thing
spikes?
from
Who
Dark
cares?
Crystal? It looks like that.
Skeksis. It does have a Skeksy vibe.
Yeah.
And even makes that sound that Skeksis make.
Yeah.
My big thing, though, with this is that it felt like they knew they wanted to make a sequel, but didn't know what they wanted to do in a sequel. So it felt like a lot of the plot points, and this is not the first sequel to fall into this trap, but a lot of the plot points.
But it's the last.
But I swear to God, it'll be the last. A lot of the plot points are all the same. They make a new human friend. Raph gets pissy and leaves, gets trapped by the Foot Clan. They have to go rescue him. Their enemy is Shredder again. It all felt the same, but it also, I know I said that thing about their bodysuits and the puppets looked better. Everything else I felt like looked worse. The laboratory scene,
too much light. The first movie was so dark.
It looks straight out of a high school theater production of, I don't know, Flash Gordon. I don't know what high school theater is doing these days. Probably
Definitely
a weird
Flash
version
Gordon.
of Oklahoma, a sci-fi version of Oklahoma. But it's
a modern
terrible.
take on Oklahoma.
It looked terrible. Like the Power Rangers set looks better than that laboratory looked like. It was so well lit. It was so bright. There were just flashing tubes going every which way.
Yeah.
It was absolutely terrible. And then usually what sequels do is when we did Ghostbusters 2, we talked about this, where it sort of just did the same thing again, just bigger.
Yeah.
This one just did the same thing again, but at the exact same size. So it's like, instead of the foot soldiers being in a warehouse, they're in a junkyard. And instead of, they're in a laboratory. Now they're in this sewer. They're in a slightly different sewer this time. Actually, the sewer was much better this time around. But otherwise, it just looked, it was just exactly the same level of effort, but with these Taka and Razor characters thrown in.
Well, and then because they, in an effort to make it less violent, they also removed the stakes. Because Raphael is rendered unconscious, and they think he might die. We all assume that he's not going to die, and even in the course of that movie. But there's more stakes. April's apartment and her dad's store is burned down. Splinter is kidnapped.
And held hostage and is sad.
Yeah, we hear the story, and there's April's boss's son. Like he gets mixed up in the Foot Clan. Like I can understand.
You're really selling me on the original movie suddenly. I don't even remember what our verdict was, but all of a sudden I'm like, that's a fucking masterpiece.
Well, they kind of like, I can understand being like, okay, we got some complaints. It was a little, especially with the cartoon being out. Like it's a little bit. Maybe we need to make it more. Like family friendly and less dark. I kind of understand that. I may disagree with it as a storytelling element, but at the same time, like there's a way to do that without sort of making it all stupid, I think.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Ninja Turtles, and I say this as a fan, and I think I said this during our first. I say this as a fan when I was a kid. I am not still following the Ninja Turtles, like the Grateful Dead.
You don't need to explain yourself to us.
But they are stupid. I mean, that's part of their fun is that they are very stupid.
When it started as like a parody of superhero teams,
right.
And then it was like, oh, this is actually a thing, and we're enjoying this, so they just kept going.
I would hardly say that the first movie is really gritty, but it does like feel. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The stakes are completely removed. Like problems that are like Raphael is rescued and it's fine. Like they escape into the sewers and that's it. Like nothing actually comes of it. Taka and Razor are stronger than the Turtles, but also like so stupid that they hardly feel like a threat. They feel like more comic relief in a movie that already has enough comic relief. No more comic relief, please. We're all good here.
I don't feel relieved by this comedy.
I feel put out by this comedy. If anything, I could use some violence relief. Do you have any of that? Yeah, I just felt like a piece of shit.
Okay, well, now we're getting into verdict territory.
Let's go to the verdict.
Damon, just shot in the dark. What is your verdict?
I know I said piece of shit, and I would like to retract that.
That was mere seconds ago that you said.
I've had time to think. I'd like also written this out on a notes app that I'll take a screenshot of and put it on my Instagram. I'd like to apologize to Chris Rock. And also Corey Feldman, who I also said terrible things about. Or implied. This movie is not absolutely terrible, I don't think, but it is not a good movie, Your Honor. No, this is an awkward movie to watch. It's a big oof from me, dog. Your Inner Child is an idiot. This is not a good movie. I think I enjoyed the first Michael Bay one more than this thing. And I'm not going to watch them travel through time. I swear to God, I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to do it?
Maybe I will. But I won't like it. And so Jonathan Day, one of our patrons who requested that we go back to the Turtles, I just want to warn him, I'm not going Turtles in time. Maybe I will, but I'm not.
But we probably will.
But we probably will. Maybe in 6 years' time.
What if I let you say whatever you want about it after watching it?
Don't I do that anyway? You're right. I shouldn't show the restraint I've shown in this episode.
I absolutely loved this movie when I was a kid. Like, memorized lines, watched it over and over. I'm sure I don't remember acting out scenes, but I'm sure I did. There was less to identify with in terms of, I remember discussing this when we watched the first movie. I identified with Raphael because I have like a temper and, but I've grown into a Leonardo because I'm a nerd who likes to keep people from having fun with my rules. But
you either stay a Raph or you get old enough to realize you're a Leonardo, as the saying goes.
He is probably the one who votes Republican of this foursome.
It's actually in today's Republican Party, it's totally Michelangelo. He wants no responsibilities. He does not want to be called out on his bad behavior. He's totally a Republican. Leonardo, queer-coded, probably votes liberal, but secretly wants to vote Republican, but can't bring himself to do it.
They're all like, they can't use the weapons because it's too violent. They all have tiki torches. So I did like that they acted like teenagers. They were, goofy and fun, and I liked their relationship with April. She's like kind of put upon like you would be if you had 4 teenagers and their sensei at your apartment. But they have a good relationship. It's not that weird. Like sometimes, Michelangelo made like a kissy face or whatever, but there was even less of that in this movie than in the first one. And even then it was definitely more like, it was like teenagers messing around. Like,
right. It's playfully flirty, not creepily flirty.
It doesn't, for me, it didn't like cross that line. And like the worst kind of misogyny in this movie was from Kino in the beginning of the movie when he like says that shitty thing to the girl. What, was there another one I missed?
I just wanted to say one thing about Kino. Could he be completely removed from this movie with losing little?
Yeah. Well, I think they wanted to like reward Ernie Reyes Jr. for like his work. They're like, we liked working with him so much. We want to find a way to work him in this. And it was like,
all he does is sort of run around and
he seemed like he was going to be
awkward pauses in between takes.
He does help at the end because he's the one that runs up and kicks the ooze out of Shredder's hand.
Yeah.
So he does kind of deliver an important blow, I guess, but I don't know. It's not like he served a big narrative purpose because you could.
It seems like every time he is involved in the plot, he sort of not that he bungles it up, but what he's doing sort of amounts to nothing. Like the Foot,
right?
Like he tries to infiltrate the Foot Clan and blows his cover almost immediately, and Raph gets kidnapped and he escapes narrowly.
Yeah, right.
It just feels very haphazard in terms of scripting.
Yeah. I think I liked. Some of the like fight scenes are kind of fun. Like I don't know. I wanted to have more fun in the Vanilla Ice scene than I was because I think I remember enjoying some of those like fun fight scenes from the first movie.
Were the fight scenes that good? I felt like they were actually worse. I thought, and I don't even usually note like fight scenes quality.
In this movie.
Yeah,
they were worse. They were worse. They were way worse. And what I was saying was, I was trying to like.
My apologies.
To enjoy them, but I wasn't feeling it. And in actuality, like I was trying to in my head find a reason not to absolutely hate this because it fucking sucks. It's really bad. And like all the attempts at humor, almost all of them are more like you make the cringe face rather than the like actual laugh.
And they all felt like placeholders. And then the guy who was supposed to come in and punch up the script like got the flu that week, and they just had to like get it done.
We got to get it out.
Carrie Fisher was supposed to come in here and just punch this up with a bunch of like zingers, and she just can't. So we're just gonna go ahead and film with what we got.
I think in 1990 or whenever the first movie came out, they were like, "There's no way you can make a movie with this. Mm-hmm. It's too crazy." And then they kind of did. I'm not saying that movie's perfect. We have a whole episode where we talk about it, but, and then if this movie had come out first, it would have been like, okay,
you can't.
But I don't know. And then it's just, this is bad. Your inner child is an idiot. I'm sorry. It hurts me so much to say that because I loved this so much as a kid. But it's a bad movie. Don't watch it. I think maybe watch the first one. Yeah. Or watch this one. Do whatever you want. Don't listen to us. What do you think, everybody?
No one's going to die if you watch this one.
What do you think, everybody? Your inner child is an idiot at gmail.com. You can leave us a voicemail or text us at 615-576-0525. We want to thank our patrons for supporting the show, including
the man who requested that we go back to the Ninja Turtles, TMNT himself, as I always call him, Jonathon Day. Thank you.
That must have been a horrific nickname in high school.
Well, he wore all 4 bandanas at once, so we couldn't call him one of the 4. We had to call him TMNT, the collective group.
Yeah. We also like to thank Captain Jean-Luc Picard,
Lindsey Nell,
The Hands of Fate,
Dan McIntyre.
Jackson has an unhealthy obsession with Damon.
It's even more uncomfortable when you are saying it rather than me. Because it seems like you're a therapist telling Jackson is having an unhealthy obsession with me.
I'll whisper it. That'll make it better. Jackson has an unhealthy obsession with Damon.
No, I didn't like that. And it didn't succeed as ASMR either. The Elusive fan Gromkin.
Shit on the cartouche.
Josh Frigo.
Dramatically placed hot dog.
Travis Vance.
His Honor the Mayor.
The supreme ruler of this podcast.
Beth Surmont.
David Mort.
Just cuz.
Scalfasaurus.
Dr. Malcolm's
Good save.
heaving bosom.
Particle Man.
Demon's Australian accent.
T. Smith.
I pulled a tendon in my neck.
Yeah, you want to be careful. That's you should have worked out beforehand just by grimacing over and over again.
Karen Curd.
The Zesty.
Jeremy Powlen.
Larissa Maestro.
And Heather Tuggle. Thank you all very much. If you want to support the show like them, patreon.com/your inner child's an idiot. And let's see, what else?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you were a teenager, if you were a mutant, if you were a ninja, and you were a turtle, and had a taste for an Italian flatbread, what would be your Renaissance painter name? Mine?
Andy.
Yeah, I remember Andy. No, he did
Soup cans.
soup cans.
In the Renaissance.
Grandma Moses? No, that's a Tiny Toon Adventures joke. Never mind. I would be Caravaggio, I think. But he also did soup cans, which is weird.
I'd be either Monet or Manet, and I would change it based on whatever you said. Because I'd be the other one I'd want to correct.